Hello everyone, Angelo here, homeless filmmaker in LA. I am in a home right now, an apartment, but my friend's letting me stay here just while I'm sick, but I'll be leaving soon. Uh, Recovering from my flu. I was talking to my mom today, and she said it's been 4 weeks since my dad died. And first of all, I was like, "What? He didn't he die the 21st of December, and today's the 19th of January." But it's 4 weeks. It's 28 days. So I'm like, "Wow, holy crap!" Um, you know, it's still hitting me. It still hurts. Sorry, I'm getting over this flu. Uh, I've had this dissociative disorder I'm still going through, depersonalization, derealization, which basically it means the first part of depersonalization, disconnected to your own emotions, derealization, feeling like the world's not real. I had a relapse of it. I've had several major episodes of it in the past that have been horrifying. And about 2 months ago now, I had a relapse, but it hasn't been as major, but it's still there and it hurts. And I'm recovering slowly, gradually. It's just little incremental, steps of recovery, and where I'm feeling more connected to the world and more like myself. And as I recover, it hits me more about my dad. And sometimes, it just hits me randomly, driving or, sorry, sitting at the hospital last night for 12 hours. Not even last night. Wait, was it last night? No. What day did I get back from the hospital? Was it today? No, I don't even remember. But I was sitting there and sometimes just tearing up, thinking about, like, man, I can't believe it. I even freaked out for a second. I was kind of tired and I was looking at a couch cushion here at my friend's apartment and just thought I saw a body or something. It was just freaking out, thinking, like, oh, that's what my dad might have looked like, after he passed. My mom is being very brave. I don't know how she can keep it together at all. I mean, oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm so, like, dehydrated or something, but it's so... I don't know. I always look back and try and think of good times, but it depends on my mood. I also think of, like, oh, why didn't I spend more time with my dad? Why was I so concerned with working, with going, not going out, like hanging out and having fun, but just like, yeah, working, like, or getting stuff done. Why didn't I do more with him? And I hate it because I beat myself up over that stuff so hard. And my dad, he's a strange guy. It wasn't someone I could just say things openly to, because he either made it difficult because he didn't respond just respond to what I said, or he'd be whatever. He might be combative, he might be in a bad mood. So it was hard at times to talk to him, but I know I made the best effort of it. And when I watch the old videos, I'm glad. I laugh at those, but it's hard for my mom. She does, hurt over it, and she was even talking to me on the phone and said, "Oh, Angelo," I said, "What?" I knew it was something about, like, oh, she was reminded of Dad. She saw something. She said, "I see Dad's hat right where he left it, from where he worked. He was a security guard." And it's tough to think. Like, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to know about it in a way. A month now. It's easy to just accept it in a way and, like, try not to think about it, but, like, it still gets to me, like, oh, how nice, my lips are all, like, chapped from, holy crap, they're really chapped from blowing my nose, like, over 200 times in the last few days. And I am getting over my flu, thank goodness, but, as I get more out of my dissociative disorder, which is still gradual, it's still happening. Yeah, it hits me harder. Uh, you know, it's hard to make sense of it. All I can do is just, try and appreciate my dad, remember the good times. It gets more and more real to me at certain times. When I first heard the news, I was in a Target parking lot, and I was so spaced out on my dissociative disorder, it didn't even hit me that hard at first. And I hated that. Like, why the fuck don't I just feel normal? Because of my dissociative disorder, because I feel disconnected from reality. Which, in a way, it's kind of fortunate that, yeah, it didn't just devastate me and just destroy me right there. And and being sick, it kind of lets these emotions surface up, because I'm not able to just be busy and sort of keep moving. So it feels kind of weird, like the fact that I'm not moving around doing stuff, kind of frustrated, just lying down, being sick. I was on my laptop today applying for a bunch of jobs. Oh, sorry. That's another thing stressing me out. Jobs, my weight, this flu, and my dissociative disorder. That's a big, big thing. I mean, it's a lot to take in. It still hurts quite a bit, because it's like, yeah, it was hard to sort of relate to my dad in a lot of ways. So I knew I had to do it only a certain way. There was only a certain way to access him. And, but you all saw on video, thank goodness, you all saw it on video that's how, I could make the most being with him. Just my own way, whatever that was in the moment. Sort of in low engagement, sort of, not limited time, just a certain way of dealing with him. But it didn't matter, like, what we said to each other. It was just how we made each other feel that was important. And I was glad to see him, I'm so glad I did go back to Virginia one time and got to film with him one last time and see him there. And he was always so glad to see me. Sorry. Talking, it's my throat all choked up and stuff. I can't. Yesterday talking didn't do this to me. Now talking more, it makes me cough. But he was always so glad to see me, and I'm grateful for that. And I've almost been glad that I can't quite process it as something that really had my arms getting tired, so that's why I keep switching. Can't quite process as, a real loss, someone who I knew, very closely. And I always feel like so much guilt about myself anyways. I know as I come out of this disorder, I'm probably going to feel more and more guilt about, whether I didn't spend enough time with him or whatever. And, but I would have felt that no matter what. That's the thing. I do know that, because I know in situations like that where I was worried maybe someone, all I can compare to the woman I was involved with who faked her own death. Even then, and like I said, she faked her own death. After she supposedly died, she sent me like 30 more emails saying how much she hated me and she wanted to kill me and stuff. Even then I felt horrible, that like, I don't know if it was that I didn't do enough or something, because there was nothing I could do. I was trying to be nice to her and she was really abusive to me. But, no matter what, like, even with her, I was much more open and stuff and expressive, and yet still, I would have felt horrible, like, I can't do more, like, she's gone, Again, she wasn't. She was just trying to hurt me. But anyways, so I know I'm gonna feel that too about my dad. Makes me sick to think about. But I'm glad to be somewhat coming back to reality. Even making this video is a big step and important for me. I was just frustrated lying here today, lying down, being on the laptop, just not doing much, just being. This is oh man, it's weird for me to be inside one place so long, like this. The only other place I was in like this was at the hospital the other night. Oh, I did sleep here last night. Now I remember. I ended up being out when I went to the hospital around 7:45 the other night, and stayed out until about 8 o'clock last night, because when I left, when I finally got back, I got out of the hospital, my friend had to leave for a job, and so he couldn't unlock the door for me, so I just lied down in my car for a couple hours and waited for him. But yeah, it's just a lot to take in, I feel sad that, I was in LA for the last 6 months and he was in Virginia, but I know that I want to beat myself up over that, because that's just my instinct all the time, no matter what, is beat myself up horribly hard for the slightest, whatever, perceived mistakes or failures or rejections. And I'm holding my head because I just drank water, but I feel dehydrated. And want to beat myself up for not seeing my dad the last 6 months, but I know that happens. It's like, what can you do? Like, we still had a good relationship, thank goodness. I went out of my way to build a better relationship with him after I was sick for those 9 months, and I just knew it was more important to me to do that. So even though it was excruciating, I would never want to go through it again. I'm glad I went through that 9 months of disability. It made me, and I look back, I'm like, wow, I never would have filmed my dad if it wasn't for that. It made me a better filmmaker, just a better person. So as much of a mess as I still am. And it helps to just think of good times, think of funny moments with him, the funny videos we made together. And it really, has more to do, how I feel has more to do with my view of myself than of anything I did with him. Because I know when I'm hard on myself and negative on myself, everything gets me more, and I feel horrible about it. And, I feel terrible that my mom is there without him. I know she's very strong, believe me, I couldn't function. I could barely function when that woman I was involved with, I thought might have been dead. I kind of knew she was lying, but I was still worried, well, what if there's a 1 in 1,000 chance it's real? And my mom was having to tell me, Angelo, no, come on, you can't give up. I didn't want to film videos with her. I didn't want to eat because I was so worried, and I felt so guilty, or not just guilty, but depressed and hurt. And she was like, no, Angelo, come on, we can't just give up on everything we're doing now. You can't give up on the videos. It was a struggle to film with my mom those 1 or 2 or few days where I thought this woman was dead. And yet my mom, somehow, she's able to just keep doing stuff when, oh man, yeah, but she's not as hard on herself as I am about stuff. I feel horrible about the slightest perceived mistake or fault or thing I might do, that I feel oh, I shouldn't have done that, or I was being intrusive to someone. So anyways, yeah, I just got to be glad for my dad, glad he was here. I'm sure it's going to hit me harder as time goes on, but I'll always remember him. I'll always have him in my memories, and I'll always laugh at the videos that I made with him.